Hey, Class A fans. Montana High School football here. Gonna give a little review from Week One. Go over the predictions. Go over the final scores. Do a little bit of talking about it. First off, I want to kind of say and make a request out to all the coaches out there. If you guys could put maybe one of your younger, enthusiastic, or one of your more computer savvy guys up to the task of putting in the stats on max preps. It would help me out big time. I see Belgrade put theirs in already, so I'm going to have a little bit more to talk about with them. So big ups to Coach Kinnaman and his staff for being on the ball. So with that, let's get right into it. I guess we'll start off with the shocker of the week. Miles City came out. I predicted them to lose 42-7 based off last year's game. I didn't know at the time that the team that the Powell, Wyoming, was on a 27 game win streak. I just kind of went off basically last year's score, not knowing much about them. But after reading an article this morning, Miles City just gave them their first loss in 3 years. So, uh, congrats, Miles City. I see Miles City on Max Preps put up a roster. One thing I noticed, and excuse my pronunciation here, there's a lot of Haugans, Alec, uh, and all of his cousins. I guess I don't know. There's like 6 or 7 of them. So the Haugen City Cowboys out there putting on a whooping on Powell there. Looks like Alec put on a pretty good show this week, as expected from a All-State wide receiver. So it looks like Miles City is on a roll. Vaguely remember a year or two ago somebody telling me that around this time Miles City would be a pretty dominant team. So it looks like they are turning out to be the team that this person told me about. Um, so next game, let's go Butte Central Belgrade. Had plans to go check out the second half of this one. Didn't make it out there. Um, Predicted Belgrade to win 28-14. Knew Belgrade had Tonko and company returning, and that's basically why I gave them the nod. I believe I have them at number 5 right now. Playing pretty good football. Tonko threw for over 300 yards, 3 touchdown passes. That's pretty good stats for a dual threat quarterback. He also rushed for 2, so he accounted for 5 touchdowns. Derek Marks, tight end, listed as a tight end, had 2 of those touchdown catches for him. So it looks like Belgrade, who got the win 34 to 20, his offense is clicking early and often. So Butte Central made a late run, scored 20 points. I recognize a few of the names on there, Peoples and a few more. But that's pretty much all I can say about Butte Central. I may uh, be going to watch them play Livingston this week. That's not set in stone yet. Got to look at the schedule a little bit more. Um, Columbia Falls versus Fergus. I predicted Columbia Falls to pull this out 35 to 13. They lost the All-State quarterback Trinistich, I believe is how it's pronounced. Um, so I was kind of wondering if their offense was going to take a little learning curve. But with the 47 to 7 win, it looks like they are clicking on full cylinders right now. So watch out for them Wildcats. Fergus has been struggling a little bit, but they did scratch the scoreboard, so that's always a good sign. Um, just a tough week 1 matchup. Not many teams can keep up with Columbia Falls when they are on full throttle. So tough one in that one. Whitefish versus Havre. I've made that the game of the week. 2 exciting offenses led by 2 junior quarterbacks who are both 3-year starters. Um, both very good quarterbacks. I think Whitefish had a little bit more talent, so I predicted them to win 42-35. I know Havre has Warp, who I fully expect to break all of Dallas Cook's records this year by the end of the year. And then he still has a whole year left to play. Um, but final in this one turned out to be 27-14, so not as high scoring as I thought. I know Haver has a couple sophomore receivers and a couple juniors, so they're still pretty young, and that's pretty much why I gave Whitefish the nod. Um, I know Whitefish had a couple of receivers to replace themselves, uh, but looks like they're doing pretty well on that. So next game up is Park versus Sydney. Predicted Sydney to pull this one out 28 to 6. Uh, Final was 33 to 0, so Sydney came out and made a point. I know Livingston lost some all-state linemen, like 3 guys, 270 plus, so they lost some big boys. A lot to replace there up front. Sydney knew had a couple running backs. I believe Logan Thiel is one of the names. Um, so I gave them the nod. I think last year Sydney won Livingston 6 to 0, but I thought that they probably would do a little bit better this year, and obviously they did. So one of the games that maybe I took a little uh, heat on was the Libby Bonners Ferry score. Predicted them to lose 35 to 7. I think what I did was I went to Max Preps and checked out Bonners Ferry and their record last year compared with the score um, from last year, and kind of gave them the 35 to 7 win. Um, Libby came out and they took the 19 to 7 win. Sounds like Bonners Ferry was a young team. Libby came out and proved me wrong. So Northwest A did real well this weekend. Only one loss, and that was a 1-point loss. So uh, way to go, Loggers. Next game up, Timberlake, Idaho versus Frenchtown. I gave Frenchtown 28-21 win. Um, Not knowing a whole lot about the Idaho team. This game, it sounds like, was a pretty good thriller where Timberlake had to come from behind. They pulled out the 1-point win late in the fourth, it sounded like. Um, Frenchtown looks like they're going to be a pretty tough team. Sounds like they can throw the ball a little bit better this year. Um, so maybe watch out Northwest A, and maybe they're not all running back, 2 tight end formation uh, stuff this year. So it'll be exciting to see what the Bronx do. Cody versus Laurel. I know Cody beat them 51 to 0 the year before. I believe that was the score, not 100%. So I gave Cody the 24-21 win. Once again, a Montana team came out and kicked some butt. Revenge last year's loss. Laurel won 13 to 0, so they put out the shutout. Not surprising out of a Laurel defense that's always top notch. Looks like they're going to be a tough team. I expect them to be in the top 3 where I have them at currently number 3. I'll be sure to check a Laurel game this year, depending on the schedule. See, it'll either be a Laurel Mile City or a Laurel Billings Central, guaranteed. So, let's see. Next game up, Hamilton versus Salmon. Last year, Hamilton, I believe, put up 55 points. The senior quarterback, Botter, sorry if the name's mispronounced, didn't know what Hamilton had returning at quarterback. It turns out there's another Botter. So it looks like Hamilton fans have some talent for the next year or two. I want to say he's a sophomore, but he could be a freshman. I can't remember. Um, but Hamilton came out this year and put up 42 points, won 42 to 20. That's pretty good start for the Bronx there of Hamilton. Excited to see what they do. Maybe I'll check a game out this year if they come this way, or even maybe go out that way one weekend and check them out. Especially if they can continue to put up 42 points. Pretty impressive. Polson versus Alberta, Canada. Don't know anything about the Canada team. Thought they might have played 12-man ball. But they came out and they put up 26 points on an always tough Polson defense. So obviously the Canadians can play a little bit. Polson scored a little bit more than they normally do, 29. Not normally a real high scoring team unless the defense is helping them outscore. But it looks like the Pirates might be able to put up some points this year. So like I said, coaches, if you can, please try and get the stats up on Max Preps. I know Northwest A teams put them up on their own little website. Um, that's great. I go and check that page out as well. So other than that, signing out. Look for my predictions no later than Wednesday night. All right, guys, thanks.